Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
This episode is brought to you by GMC. GMC certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit gmc.com/service to learn more.
This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
Good morning. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. That's WABC. That's how we do it. I am very grateful for everyone being there, most especially right here, just a few feet away. Bill and Tony looking after me with all the technical stuff and all the music and the fading up and the potting down, the potting up and the fading down, the in, the out, and all of that. And, so it's a Sunday morning. Good morning. And, it was rainy out there again. Is that what's going on? Little scattered showers? Oh, okay. Here on the, corner of, 49th and 3rd, here in Midtown East. And, I so badly want to come in and just, light. I want to come in light. I want to come in happy and funny and that'll always be the MO here on Another Side of Midnight. We'll always talk about serious stuff and we'll do it. If we can't do it lightly, we'll at least do it with energy. Okay. But all day yesterday, I sit there and I prep and I think and I meditate and I look and I write and I jot, and I just could not get past this and right up until 4 minutes ago, where I just couldn't get past this being the story that just grabbed me, and it makes me nuts and should make all of us nuts. And this state that we live in, and I'm not hitting replay here. Look, we spoke to Mike Lawler last night. Great congressman, represents New York, fights and fights and fights. A little bit later this morning, we'll be speaking with New York State Assemblyman Matt Slater. We'll also have a really fun look at the news with Ellen Karas. Very, 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 very funny woman. One of the funniest women in the city. Anyway, talking last night and as we will with New York State representatives and what is it with the left, with the Democrats, that they just, how far, okay, when you have people like Obama and Mamdani saying there comes a point when you have enough money. Okay. That's their look at capitalism. Now, it doesn't apply to them, by the way. Doesn't apply to them. Obama, at one point when he was president of the United States, stood there and said that the leader of the greatest capitalist society in the history of the planet stood there and said there comes a point, when you got enough money. And you didn't build that. Telling entrepreneurs and risk takers that they didn't build that on their own, that, whatever it was, a dry cleaner, a pizza place, a restaurant, or my wife's case, a dance academy. In your case, a bodega. Where are you? What business do you own? Are you an accountant firm? Anyway, when they pontificate in all of their holier than thou stuff, they're talking about capitalists having no limits. What is the limit on coddling criminals for the left. And I again, I'm saying that, I'm hearing myself saying this, and I really wish I was telling you a funny story. We'll get to a funny story at some point, but this is just burning a hole in my pocket. And I just wanted to get this out there. And you know, at what point will they stop looking after and doing their level best to protect everything from criminal illegal aliens to recidivist, violent felons? There comes a point when you have enough criminal-friendly policies and laws on the books. And this is in the Post on Saturday, page 10. And it's a story about, and it touches, it's like a triangle up where I live. And I wish I had seen this. I wish I had Mike Lawler back, because I'd love to ask him, because he's quoted in this piece. A paroled sex fiend who killed a teenage girl in Rockland County was busted this month for allegedly groping a woman. You know he did it. Look, gotta love the alleged, right? Leading lawmakers to blast the state board that, guys, Robert McCain. Usually there's a middle name with these bad guys. You ever notice that? Everybody on death row is 3 names. They're all listed by their middle name. Robert McCain clinched his release from the state parole board on his 10th attempt in 2021 after serving 4 decades behind bars in the grisly 1980 stabbing of a 16-year-old girl named Paula Bohoveski. He was arrested just the other day for fondling a woman as he and she were chatting in a Westchester County dog park. 1-800-848-9222 if you're furious. Basically, the guy was convicted. This is what they did. Okay. So state prison officials and community supervision warrant were issued against McCain and Lodge, West County. Okay. So McCain and his co-defendant, Richard LaBarbera. Great guy, Richie LaBarbera. Oh, funny guy. Tell you stories. Richie LaBarbera. Richie Pounds. Cause LB. That's what we call him. We call him Richie Pounds. They were convicted of murder in 1981 for Bohoveski, for slaying this young girl, 16-year-old girl. And each were hit with the maximum prison term of 25 years to life. Here's how they did it. They spotted the girl as she was walking home from her part-time job in Pearl River. That's where Mike Lawler's from. So again, this hits home for him. And this piece of garbage chucked a piece of pavement at her head and then beat her. And then they did terrible things to her behind an empty house. And they killed her. 16 years old. This guy was given parole. I don't care how many decades. The 16-year-old girl never got past 16. 1-800-848-9222 if you're furious. If you're not furious, do you think this animal deserved to be out? Again, it's Sunday morning. I'm sorry. I wish I was telling you a funny story about what happened at the supermarket today. But this thing is there comes a point when the Democrats that control this state have had enough fun at the expense of all the law-abiding, innocent people. And this guy was given his parole 4 years ago. granted parole in 2021 despite calls from various elected officials and the victim's elderly mother to keep him locked up. Richie LaBarbera, funny Richie LB, Richie, was released in 2020. And now this guy is out there and he groped and got his cookies with a young woman at a dog park the other day. And it says here that roughly half of the current parole board members in New York were on the panel in 2021 were appointments of then Governor Andrew Cuomo. Keep that in mind, New York City voters. Something else to reward Andy Cuomo, black-eyed thug that he is. Short-sighted, awful, predator of young women himself wants to be your mayor. So, others have since been appointed by to the parole board by the dimmest bulb in all the land, Kathy Hochul, she of the dry teeth, because she just doesn't. I've never seen her with a closed mouth. I've never seen her with nothing but teeth. I've never seen her without her pearly whites just out there catching a breeze. She must constantly be licking them chops. It's the Botox. The Botox doesn't allow her full use of all of her facial muscles, nor her eyebrows. And if you've seen her trying to blink recently, she looks like the automatrons, whatever you call those things at Disney, like, you know, in the Hall of Presidents. She looks like an Abraham Lincoln automatron that's like shorting out. That's what she looks like these days, trying to blink. So, to wrap it up, prior to making a final decision, this is a statement from the New York State Parole Board. Prior to making a final decision, the board members must follow the statutory requirements which take into who writes the statutory requirements? The criminal coddling Democrats in the New York State Senate and Assembly. That's who. That's who approves all this stuff. There is not one statewide office held by a Republican. There is not one appointed member of any commission that was voted down. They all get rubber stamped in Albany, in the Assembly and the Senate. Anything that Cuomo, Hochul, anything they want is done and dusted and approved by their minions in the Senate and so I'm going to read this and I'm going to throw in a little bit of interpretation here. Prior to making a final decision, the board members appointed by Democrat governors and approved by Democratic legislators must follow the statutory requirements written and approved by Democratic supermajority members in the state Senate and Assembly and the governor, including statements made by victims and victims' families, as well as an individual's criminal history, institutional accomplishments, potential to successfully reintegrate into the community, and perceived risk to public safety, a spokesperson for the parole board said on Friday. So they struck out. The members of the New York State Parole Board gave a guy freedom, him and his accomplice freedom, after brutally taking the life. And they didn't just kill her. First they raped her, then they killed her behind an empty house on her way home from a little part-time job, 16 years old. I submit that the New York State Parole Board members are just as much depraved, craven animals as these sick guys who committed this crime in 1981. And now he's out, this guy, and he's still a predator. Now dig this. Write down this name. Robert Nachamie, N-A-C-H-A-M-I-E. Robert Nachamie, I'm guessing, is McCain's defense attorney. And he claimed the victim in the groping case wasn't credible. How does this guy look at himself? How does this guy close his eyes at night and sleep? Said his client has pleaded not guilty because she's not credible. He also noted McCain has held a job and lived in the same home for the last couple of years. Well, shut my mouth. And he said this. Listen to this piece of garbage, Robert Nachamie. Listen to this one. I'm not saying what he did in the past isn't horrific. Well, thank you, defense attorney Robert Nachamie, N-A-C-H-A-M-I-E. Thank you so much for giving credibility to all the people who are furious and giving credibility to the family of the young girl who was murdered and didn't get to see a year past 16. And as she left this earthly plane, she did it after having been raped. So, piece of garbage, Robert Nachamie, I'm not saying what he did in the past isn't horrific and terrible, and I feel bad for the family, but he did his time, I believe. Robert Nachamie, N-A-C-H-A-M-I-E. It's in the Post. And here's a bunch. I just had this leftover list of a bunch of Democrats. 5 will get you 10. These following Democrats have voted to approve at least a good number of the members of the state parole board. Let's see. You got Andrea Stewart Cousins. She's the Democratic, she's the leader of the Senate, and Deputy Leader Michael Gianaris. Bet you they did. I bet you James Skoufis has voted to approve at least one. I bet you. I don't know for sure. Jessica Scarcella Spanton, Sam Sutton, Pete Harcum up in Westchester. You know Pete Harcum. You know Chubby voted for these people and approved anything Andrew Cuomo has ever wanted, or Choppers Hochul. Anything either of these two idiots have wanted, Chubby Harcum has voted to approve. Toby Ann Stavisky, Joseph Adabo, John Liu. They had to do it. They had to approve. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. At Sunday morning, I really wanted to, and we'll get there. We'll get light. We'll lighten it up. Bill will pull me out of it. He'll play some music and he'll pull me out of it. But I stared at this on the couch all day after I woke up. It was like the first thing that I saw in the Post. And, I was just about to go to Chris in the Catskills. Chris, I was just about to go to you. Where'd you go? Come back. Come back there, Chris, in the Catskills. Was just going to go to you. Not sure what happened there. 1-800-848-9222. So we'll get to the lighter stuff. But again, I make that analogy where they say that, where the left loves to say that, business people, billionaires, millionaires, there comes a point when you have enough money. Well, you know what? I think there comes a point when Democrats have enough laws and legislation and policies on the books that take care. So just stop, because there's more coming. I hope you understand, by the way, that my point with that is there's more coming. There are currently 2 bills that I think they've made it through the New York State Senate and Assembly. And they might be waiting for the governor's signature. If not, it's definitely gonna be cooking. And those are the 2 pieces of legislation I'm talking about. One automatically would grant a parole hearing to any convicted felon on their 55th birthday, regardless. Or I'm sorry, if I was the defense attorney, I'd say irregardless. regardless of the nature of the crime, no matter how violent, they love that law. They love that law. They can't wait to see that thing signed. That's next. So that's one thing that's making its way through the Senate and the Assembly. Democrats are coddling that beautiful little bill. That's their big, beautiful bill right there. They want to see convicted felons get a hearing, get a parole hearing, convicted felons like this guy McCain on their 55th birthday. They want to give them birthday presents. And there's another one, I'll look it up in the break, but there's two. So let's go, line 5, Chris in the Catskills. You were waiting, and thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good to hear intelligent talk radio on, late at night.
Thank you.
Back when I was in office as a Democrat, I had an interview once with the Working Families Party when I almost ran for state senate up in Albany. And I was against, I put it on my questionnaire with the Working Families Party, that I was against raising the age of from 16 to 18 for being classified as an adult.
Oh, right. I remember when that was working its way through.
I was a Democrat that would have was correct on the issue, and it doesn't go well on those interviews when you say stuff like that.
Yeah, not with the Working Family Party, no.
No. I went. I mean, if I was up in Albany, I would vote no on something like this as a Democrat, but I'm not an elected official anymore. But I went to a Antonio Delgado rally on Thursday night in Kingston.
Okay.
And he got a full house. I personally know Antonio.
He's formidable. He's good, man.
Yeah, no, he's a really stand-up guy.
He is.
And if I were working on his campaign, the one critique I would have given him, and this is a positive, being a real person, he over-answered every question out of the 6 or 7 that he took.
Interesting.
And I would have told him to be more concise, and he could have gotten to 4 more questions.
Maybe he's working out that stump speech at this point.
But my friend was there, and
same thing.
He called on her, and she said, my father was contracted COVID, and they had him at the hospital, and then they put him back in the nursing home. And we had to sit there through windows, me and my family, and watch him die. Oof. And we weren't allowed to visit him.
Right.
And she said, I wrote letters to dozens of politicians. You don't know how many politicians I wrote letters to, and you were the only one when you were in Congress.
Yeah. Delgado
to answer my letter, and she was in tears. That went over well with the crowd, and I gave him a couple good ideas to run on that he liked.
So do you think? So am I getting from you? And look, it's great to know that you're there and listening to Another Side of Midnight here on 77. I'm glad you're there. I'm glad that we're pulling in from both sides of the aisle. There's nothing more boring than an echo chamber. So I'm glad you're there, Chris. But tell me this, do you find Delgado, I think Delgado is a hell of a much more of a problem for Elise Stefanik than Kathy Hochul. I think Kathy Hochul is like a come as you are buffet. I think any Republican has got a massive, wonderful chance to defeat that idiot. Whereas
I think because I was just looking at the polls, I mean, stuff out of curiosity, and Richie Torres, if he's another one. Delgado has no shot because it's gonna split the minority vote in the highly populated areas.
Well, I'm just putting Delgado in a bubble. I'm just saying Delgado is impressive.
I don't think Stefanik's got a shot. Nobody's got a shot. The Hochul's gonna win
against
again.
Hochul. I don't know, man. I think
she vetoed the Grieving Families Act 3 times. And her rationale, I brought that up with Delgado, and he thought it was disgusting, because he immediately brought up, he said, I represented Schoharie County.
Yeah.
I personally got to know the family members of that limousine accident. And he and then that criminal trial for that is coming up, by the way.
Well, my point
And
is this, though, Chris, is if all the Democrats are intellectually honest and they beat the daylights out of each other, just like Republicans beat the daylights out of each other, if she ends up being the nominee, but is at least softened up by some intellectually honest Democrats, if it's not just a bunch of sheep falling into line and saying, well, let's pull our punches. We don't want to ruin her so Stefanik can pick the bones. As long as it's treated like a proper, if the Democrats in New York are capable of a proper death match type of, cage match kind of, primary, then, and guys like Torres and Delgado beat the daylights out of her, well, then, she might be softened up. But honestly, I mean, this woman she's also just clearly challenged. She's stupid. She is not intelligent.
Well,
Matter of fact,
did you watch the debate 3 years ago between her and Suozzi and Damani Williams?
Yes.
I clearly thought Suozzi sounded the best in the debate.
Yeah.
Hands down. He
Totally.
sounded very strong.
Yes.
He came across a little on the angry side, but
Yeah.
he came up with
But that's because Democrats get their marching orders.
That's who I voted for in the primary.
They get their marching orders.
He got the least amount of votes. And I
know.
was actually impressed with Williams. Sounded very intelligent.
I know.
I wouldn't vote for him as a socialist like that.
Right.
And then he got twice as many votes as Suozzi did, exactly twice as many. And then Hochul cleaned up, and she was the least.
But again, it's because of the marching orders. It's because Democrats. Present company excluded. They're just, generally speaking, your party there's not a lot of intellectual honesty.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got it, Chris.
And they don't pay attention to debates, unfortunately.
I know. Unfortunately, they should mean more. Hey, Chris, I got to jump. You got to forgive me. I want to make sure because I do have a break, and I don't want to screw people up who called in. Let me ask Ray and Edward to hang in there for 1 second. We're going to take this. You guys all know this break. It's very, very quick. It's 2:32 here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick, 77 WABC. We're talking about Democrats being soft on crime, and it just happens and happens and happens, and there's more on the horizon. How many criminal-friendly laws and policies do the Democrats need on the books in the state of New York? And if you're from New Jersey, fill me in on what you got over there. In Connecticut, the same thing. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-WABC. We shall be right back.
Talk Radio 77 WABC.
It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
What a happy, happy song. As we talk about people who should get the death penalty in the state of New York. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-WABC. Yeah, we're getting the heavy stuff out of the way this morning. Stared at me the whole rest of the day, after I woke up, on Saturday, and, I just couldn't take my eyes off this story. My 13-year-old sitting on the other end of the couch. I'm looking at her. And I just love my baby girls so much. And I think about this animal. And I mean, look, I'd be disgusted. I mean, just the fact of what he's doing to reintroduce himself to the, legal system. The fact that he's out there groping, it makes me so mad. Robert McCain. And don't forget his defense attorney, Robert Nachamie, Nachamie. He's a compassionate guy, that, defense attorney, because, quote, I'm not saying what he did in the past isn't horrific and stuff and terrible, and I feel bad for the family, but he did his time, I believe. Lovely. Love to have a cup of coffee with that guy. Love to have a cup of coffee with that guy. What shade of brown suit does that guy live in? With like a, yellow shirt, brown suit, orange tie. This guy, you know what? Why do I have a feeling that Robert Nakame looks like a paneled basement from the 70s? He's the walking human embodiment of a paneled finished basement circa 1970. I don't know what that means, but run that through your filter. I bet you that's what that guy has all the personality of of wood paneling. Who is Ray in Brooklyn? Ray, to want to talk about the parole hearing. Ray, good morning. Welcome to Another Side online too. Good morning, Ray.
TJ, good morning, man. It's good to talk to you again. I want to give thanks to your screener, but everything in your opening segment was floating through my brain, and it wasn't only humorous because I despised Hochul's look and what Cuomo's about. But I had a murder very close to my family, actually a cousin, and I knew that this dude. Oh yeah, she was abducted and murdered and put on fire in Queens. What I wanted to ask you was, this dude was only 20, and they gave him 50. What I'm saying is, this country has got different laws, of course, in each state. So this kid will probably be out way before 70. And then there was another young lady I was dating whose father was murdered in cold blood, and they said Obama deported this kid after 17, 18 years of doing time. Now, I'm all for severe justice. That's why you rang so true in your opening segment. I'm a justice freak. I don't even think I should be on a jury because I look at them and I'm like, you're already guilty. And yeah, the thing is, TJ, one more thing. I don't like to be an airwaves hog. Only it's such a pleasure to get through.
Of course.
Why is it not like the Old Testament? Why isn't murder, thou shalt not murder? Why can't it be treated differently unless it's only in New York? But, you know, this dude's doing hard time in other states, and some of them were wrongfully accused. But once you get caught up in a murder rap, you're going to see over 4 or 5 decades. In New York, I don't even want to talk about meatball face Bragg.
Right.
All of them. They are putting us in severe danger.
And that's my question, Ray. Is you know, again, I look at it as saying just because working its way through the legislature right now as we speak, and I didn't get a chance because that is such a quick break at 2:30. But I know that there are 2 bills that have either passed and are waiting for the governor's signature or are waiting to be passed. And one of the bills is, and they're both criminal friendly bills. One of them would give an automatic hearing at 55 years old to any felon, regardless of their crime, violent or otherwise, and regardless of how much time they've served. It's all you have to do is make it to 55 and you get a hearing. And there's another law that, again, same situation. It's making its way through the legislature, the Democrat-controlled legislature. And I promised this hour I will find that other piece. I was writing for some politicians a year ago, and I remember writing about that during campaign season. Anyway, let me jump right. Let me get to Ed and Pamela. Everyone here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick, 1-800-848-9222 here on 77 WABC. We're talking about just how many criminal friendly laws do the Democrats need? I mean, they've got like literally the gold standard of criminal friendly legislation in this state. The gold standard, the absolute creme de la creme. They've made police precincts into revolving door way stations. How many of these awful subway crimes? Just take the subway crimes, right? Hit in the face with a bag of feces, lit on fire, smashed with the hammer. Look, I'm coughing like I don't have a cough button. Smashed in the face with a hammer. And almost without exception, these miscreants have got, I hate to be cliche, records as long as their arms. Criminal records a mile long. Violent felons are in jail and out of jail. And you know what? And think about this too. By the way, once again, more laws passed by leftists that disproportionately negatively impact poor and minority and women populations. Okay? That revolving door of recidivists walking into women right there, victims of domestic violence. How many guys get picked up for domestic violence? Well, we'll see. If Mamdani gets his way, nobody's going to be picked up for that because they're going to be sending around, counselors with, coloring books. Here, draw how you feel. But a wife beater gets picked up, brought to the jail. She's, locking the doors as the cops take him away. And then she's sitting there holding her breath, hiding the kids, sitting in a closet, hoping that Jerkface doesn't get out of jail that night if he even sees a cell, because revolving door, he's right out. Same thing with poor and minority and vulnerable communities. But you think these recidivists, these criminals, these animals are leaving jail and going to some other no, they're going home to commit more crimes. They're going home to intimidate more people and rob and steal and rape. They do that at home. So all of these policies that are supposed to, that are written and passed by the party that's supposed to be advocates for women and poor minority communities, all of these policies disproportionately impact in a very negative way all of those communities. Well, without exception. Same thing with abortion. In New York State, a couple of years ago, they remember when they celebrated, literally clapped their hands and celebrated and lit the Empire State Building in pink to celebrate expanded abortion in New York State that included abortion can be provided by a nurse practitioner and not a doctor in like a clinic, like a storefront clinic. You think that's going to affect the rich, wealthy women in Scarsdale, Bronxville, Huntington, Oyster Bay, Upper East Side? No, they're not going to a storefront on the Grand Concourse to have a nurse practitioner do an abortion. No, they're going to Dr. Bobby Lipschitz. That's who they're doing. 1-800-848-9222. Edward in Rockland. Good morning. Hey, how are you? Good morning. Welcome to Another Side of Midnight.
Hi, TJ. How are you this evening?
I'm well, thank you.
I was going to go to bed really, maybe about a half an hour ago, and I just turned you guys on.
Oh, good.
And I listened to what you were talking about, this young woman from Pearl River. Yeah. I'm from Rockland County.
Yeah.
I used to work in Pearl River.
Okay.
And I listened to what you said 3 or 4 years ago when Cuomo was the governor.
Mm-hmm.
I called up almost weekly, and I finally got through to a couple of people with regards to what had happened here, because this was big news back in the day when I was a young man.
Sure.
And 3 or 4 years ago when they were putting these two cretins up for parole.
Right.
And I got through to a woman that worked for Governor Cuomo.
Okay.
And I related to her the horrificness of this crime.
Right.
This woman almost had a heart attack when I told her of the brutality. And like you, when I heard that they paroled these two guys, and this guy McCain and LaBella, they were young men at the time. I was a young man at the time.
Sure.
The people that I work with, we follow this. We would have loved to have got our hands on these guys. Okay, but this person, Governor Cuomo,
right?
I despise this man. And when you call him black-hearted and black-eyed, he's exactly that.
Yep.
And I want people to realize that when I got through to this woman and then a couple other minions that answer the phone for the governor,
right,
He said his hands were tied. You know what? You were so spot on. Andrea Stewart Cousins, Carl Heastie, and every one of these fools, these Democrats up in Albany, allowed this guy McCain, and then his lawyer now, McGehee or whatever his name is, he's liberal,
Nakame,
to lie to us, and to let us know that what we know is not normal. They want us to feel that they are doing the right thing by protecting these schools. McCain and Libera.
They got it.
There's things need to be there needs to be something where if you commit a horrific crime, you do the time, and you don't get paroled when you're 55.
I know, but not in New York. Not in New York. They're just not satisfied.
I totally
Edward,
agree. I'm just going to sit back and let you talk now because I just had to get this off my
I'm
chest.
glad you did, buddy. Thank you for listening. I'm glad you stayed up. I appreciate it. Pamela and Joaquin, hang right there. 1 second more. We're just going to take our quick break, quarter of the hour. It's Another Side of Midnight. TJ McCormick here on 77 WABC. After the break, we will come back for Pamela and Joaquin, and then in the next hour, we will speak with New York State Assemblyman Matthew Slater.
At LinkedIn, we know hiring is a big deal for your small business. Sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming. LinkedIn uses data that you can't find anywhere else to give you the best candidates, all so you can feel confident you're hiring the best person for the job. And even a little hiring bliss. See why 86% of small businesses who post a job on LinkedIn get a qualified candidate within a day. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/achieve. LinkedIn, your next great hire is here.
Class is now in session. And the UPS Store is here to help you ace arriving on campus. Our certified packing experts can pack everything you need, from desktops to decor. Plus, when you pack and ship with us, you get our exclusive pack and ship guarantee. Your items arrive safe or your money back. Restrictions and limitations apply. To get a 20% off packing coupon and for full details, visit the upsstore.com/packing.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Visit Blinds.com now for up to 40% off site-wide, plus a professional measure at no cost. Rules and restrictions apply.
It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist T.J. McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's T.J. McCormick.
2:50 in the morning here on a Sunday morning on 77 WABC. T.J. McCormick with you on Another Side of Midnight. And we're talking about the state of affairs here in New York where they just cannot pass enough criminal-friendly laws and policies and regulation. They just cannot they cannot do enough for violent felons in New York State. And who's they? Kathy Hochul, Shelley Mayer, Andrea Stewart Cousins, Carl Heastie, Michael Gianaris, James Skoufis, Sam Sutton, cuddly chubby Pete Harcum, Toby Ann Stavisky. They cannot do enough. Pamela in New Jersey. Good morning, Pamela. I love when you call. Good morning.
Oh, thank you. Good morning.
Of course.
History repeats itself. Always. Now, the United States is going through exactly what Spain went through. In the 1930s, Spain was overtaken by the communists. They came in, they slaughtered and raped the nuns and priests and took away their religion. In comes General Franco, a fascist dictator, and he said, hey, listen, you support me, I will get rid of the communists and give you back your religion and keep your priests and nuns safe. So Spain had the Sophie's Choice decision of picking the lesser of two evils.
Right.
And what did they do? They chose General Franco.
Right.
And Franco became a hero. In fact, there were American celebrities that ran over there. Hemingway and his friends went over there and cheered him on, and it kind of led the pathway for Castro, because dictators, which historically speaking is the only way to get rid of communism. A democracy cannot do it.
Right.
Constitutional democracy cannot do it. We're not powerful enough. So he came in and cleaned it up, and then they had, of course, him to deal with. But it was still the lesser of two evils. And that's what we're going through right now. We have been taken over by the communists.
And you know what? I just had a bit of I don't know if it's a moment of clarity or a moment of confusion. It could go either way. And I'm embarrassed to admit that I don't know which one this is. But a light bulb went off. It's kind of flickering, but there's a light bulb somewhere near my head. And, you know, it feels like it's a dictatorship by committee. Total oxymoron. I mean, obviously it's contradictory, but when you have a supermajority, an echo chamber of leftism, like we have in Albany, are both houses in New Jersey, Democrat?
Oh, please.
Are they? I mean, they are, right? I'm sorry, dumb question, but I'm just, okay. So.
No, we are. We're in the same boat that
same
you
thing.
are. Although they keep it on the down low a little bit better. They keep it secretive.
And Connecticut, same thing. We've got an absolute dictatorship. It might be a whole bunch of people that get to pop in and pop out of the conversation. Those Democrats that I just rattled off in Albany, a good number of whom I've done battle with personally on a political level. And, that's what we've got. You mentioned, and as you were describing Franco, you know, traditionally and by definition, the dictator, the one person, the sole, whatever. But what we've got in our tri-state area here is a triumvirate, of supermajority rubber stamp vacuums of power with zero ability to change course for anybody who wishes to do so, unless Stefanik and what's his name in New Jersey? What's his name? The guy running?
Chitterelli.
Chitterelli. Unless these two can pull off the miracle that we're all hoping for, you know, we're just not going to get there. Pamela, let me jump because we're getting to the top of the hour and I want to make sure I get to Deanna. I'm sorry, Deanna?
Yes, sir. I'm saying, number one, the Equal Rights Amendment has never been passed. So women are just like cannon fodder, you know. But I feel that women are disrespected in general.
Sure.
And, but I was a victim of, you see, a rapist never changes. They can put that person in jail for years and years, and when they come out, they will rape again. That's just the way they are. And it happened to me when I was like 21.
Oh, no.
I had never had any experience with anyone, and I came to New York, and I was at a frame shop, a venerable frame shop, and the owner locked the elevator, and all the workers pretended nothing was happening.
Oh my God.
And he was chasing me all around, and he chased me for the longest. I went in the stairwell and ran down, tried to knock doors, and I ran all over. It was a horrible long skirmish.
Oh my
Finally,
God.
he got me. And he locked me in there for several days.
Oh my God.
And it's a miracle. Yeah,
Deanna, I'm only going to ask you because I don't want to have to cut you off at the end of the hour. Please tell me this guy was prosecuted.
No, what happened was I found out later he had been in jail for like 30 years or 35 years, and they had let him out. But the thing is, I just went there to get a frame made.
An innocent,
studio.
I'm so
horrible,
sorry.
But I was so traumatized. I couldn't do anything. I didn't. I was just totally traumatized.
Did you end up having therapy and
No, I didn't. But he tried to stalk me after that.
Well, like you said, you know, once a predator, always a predator, and that's
they never stop.
Yeah,
rapists never stop.
And that's something everybody should keep in mind. And thank you again, Deanna, for calling. That's something everybody should keep in mind when it comes to this guy, Cuomo, the guy at the, again, the guy who appointed, most of the members of the, New York State Parole Board, approved by the Democratic minions in the legislature. Don't forget, every single committee, commission, panel that pulls levers and pushes buttons in New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, anywhere. Like you're complaining about your energy rates, as you should, as we all should, because they're out of control. That's the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission, those commissioners are appointed by Governor XYZ. They have to then be approved by the legislature. Vacuum, supermajority. Echo chamber. That's what happens. That's the danger. That's where we have got. It's interesting. We've kind of coined a phrase. We've got a dictatorship by committee. They're all rowing in the same direction, and that direction is in favor of criminals, rapists, murderers, illegal aliens. It's a shame. Anyway, all right. Well, so much for the lighter side from T.J. McCormick, political humorist. I'm sorry. We'll lighten it up. When we come back, we're going to talk to New York State Assemblyman Matt Slater. We're going to take a look at Mamdani. We're going to take a look at a few other things with the Assemblyman, a rising star himself. We're also going to talk about Mike Lawler's choices that he made. All right, gang. It's another side of midnight with T.J. McCormick here on 77 WABC, 1-800-848-9222. Thank you so much for being there, gang. I'm grateful.
This is another side of midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
3:06 on a Sunday morning here, the corner of 49th and 3rd, Midtown East in Manhattan. And it is 1-800-848-9222. That's the phone number to be involved in the conversation here on 77 WABC. What a cool thing to be talking to you right now. And I do love it. I do dig the intimacy of this conversation. I really, really do. And we cover some really cool stuff, some really interesting things. And a lot of it, where the rubber hits the road, our lives here in New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and all around and everywhere this signal reaches, which is pretty damn far, actually. Remember how many times we hear from people, I wonder actually when you're calling me from Carolina and other places, if you're listening, and I know a couple of times, was it Mike from, Carolina has called, he's listening in the car. I don't know if that's, digitally or the signal. Because I remember when I lived in Florida and when I was on the road as a stand-up, I loved listening to 77. And that's the pinch me thing, by the way, that I'm on 77 WABC. This is just crazy. But I remember listening in the car. This would be the beacon that I was almost home after 3 weeks on the road, and coming back, driving through Pennsylvania, which is endless, by the way. When you're driving across country, there's a few states that are teases. Florida's one. Yeah, we're going to take the kids to Florida. We're going to drive to Florida. We're going to go to Florida. We're going to Disney. We're going to drive to... Okay, you're driving to Disney, you're driving to Florida. Because if you're driving to Disney, once you hit Florida, you still have a day. Seemingly. At the end of that trip, it feels like a day. Florida is huge, and it's a tease when you're driving. Pennsylvania is another one. You're driving back from the middle of I used to work Oklahoma. I would work Nebraska. I worked stand up. I worked in one-nighters, baby. One-nighters in Columbus, Nebraska. Do you even know there's a Columbus, Nebraska? I tell you about my Columbus, Nebraska. I did stand up in the Holiday Inn in Columbus, Nebraska. And it was a one-nighter. It was 2 shows in one night. This is in the early 90s when comedy was like big. Live comedy. And it took until the middle of the second show for me to realize that the bar where we had the one-nighter, the comedy show in, was, it didn't occur to me until I took a step back and really looked at the room. It was a sailing ship. It was a theme. The bar, it was like something in Vegas. The bar was shaped like a 1400s. Yes, Columbus. It took me, I'm sitting there looking at this big boat and it's like it's like the Pinta or the Santa Maria. And all of a sudden I went, oh, that's why. I said, why is that a boat? And then like somebody yelled at, I said, Columbus. I said, oh, Columbus. Oh. So, you're coming back from those places and you come through Ohio. What is it? Youngstown. You get past Youngstown going east. You finally hit that Pennsylvania line. So, almost home. No. Pennsylvania is huge. And in Pennsylvania, it takes a huge state to contain a mind like Joaquin. Joaquin, why don't we go to line 2 there, Billy? And let's grab Joaquin in Pennsylvania. It's a little early for a call, but you've been waiting forever and ever there, Joaquin, in huge Pennsylvania.
Yeah, good morning there, TJ.
Hey, pal.
Hey, in 1 week's time, me and my partner, Leon, when we were hauling horses, we turned Florida round trip 3 times in 1 week, plus 1 more leg. In other words, every day we went one way.
Oh, my God. That is, how far into Florida were you going?
We were going down to Tampa, Ocala.
Oh, my God.
And we were coming either up into Jersey or into New York. We were hauling racehorses at the time.
So you would, okay, let's say you started in, let's say Jersey. You would pick up your load. You'd pick up the horses, the racehorses.
We were running empty one way because basically we would move the racing operations. In other words, in the spring.
One was a deadhead. One way was a deadhead.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
And so you would run one way with the horses all the way from New Jersey. You said you did it one way in a day. So you would go basically 24 hours.
24 hours. Yep.
And then you turn around and you deadhead it back. Or wow.
24 hours. Actually, we loaded in Florida at the time. We were coming back up this way, I think. Yeah, that's right. We're going to Belmont.
I got to tell you, man, I love, honestly, I like my civilized life now. I love my daughters. I could never go on the road like I used to. I was not married. It wasn't. And when I was married, it was a different kind of working the road kind of thing. But I gotta say, like last week when I was in Las Vegas, I looked out. It's one of the things I love. I don't care what my view is in Las Vegas. I'll look at the mountains all day. I love the Southwest. And I love the open highway out there. And I longed for the road when I was out there last week because I was looking at I-15 and going, I would love nothing more than to load up, in my mind, load up on a bunch of cigarettes back in the day, load up on a bunch of like Mountain Dew, coffee and cigarette. But anyway, get in a car and just drive towards Utah. I would love to. I was pining for the highway. I do love a long drive. I really do.
Especially when you get to places where you got nothing but open road and in the middle of the night, man.
Middle of the night. That's that's where my bumper song comes from. Golden Earring. Mm-hmm. That was my song when that would come on. And I would almost go looking for it at night. And I was out there with you guys. I was out there with truckers. I chose to do my driving at night. I did everything in reverse. I would sleep, during the day. I would do my stand up. I'd do my show at night. When I was done, I didn't go to my hotel room unless I had reason to go to my hotel room. Unless I had a really good show. Anyway, I was 22. But no, I would pack up and get on the road, and I would drive overnight to the next gig because I like being out there with you guys. I felt safer with truckers at night.
Yeah, especially back in the day.
Oh yeah.
But let's get to these communists.
Yes. Cuomo. I know you have a big opinion about that.
I know it's not just Cuomo. It's the Democrats in general. It's the Mamdamis. Cuomo paroled 38 cop killers under his administration. 38 cop killers were paroled. 34 of them were New York City police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the bitch of it is that unfortunately for the globalists, the communists, Islamist agenda to take control of the country, you have to create chaos. You have to destroy society.
Yep.
And that's what's behind all of this, open borders and even this green, energy crap. It's all meant to destroy society. And the same thing with releasing all these criminal, all communist revolutionaries, in the past, your Fidel Castros, your Joseph Stalins,
Mm-hmm.
Che Guevara's, all these guys were wealthy, basically rich kids, very highly educated. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
They have that, except for Ho Chi Minh. He actually came from a poor place. But for the most part, most of these communists were actually highly educated.
Yeah,
and
and well off.
What you got going on here, and people don't want to see it, and they're tyrants. I mean, you look at Hochul with her, chapter 3, verses 1 and 2 thing, which basically says the next pandemic they can lock you up. They can do whatever they want with you.
Sure,
and people have to open their eyes, and there was a time when communism was against the law.
I know,
and they took out Senator Joe McCarthy, and it was that they had the House Un-American Activities Committee, and basically a couple of different committees that changed names, but that all ended in 1975.
Right,
and and you look at Europe, what's happening over there. The Islamic takeover, and believe me, under Sharia law, as a white person, you don't have the same rights. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So this is really a whole destruction of Judeo-Christian Western civilization. And I hate to say it, because it doesn't sound right, but white society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that's what's happening here. And they're using the criminals because they can create, and then once they make everybody feel helpless, then they can say, "Oh well, the we'll take over." And we'll make law and order. Where in the meanwhile, they've destroyed everything. Exactly.
It is so unnerving. And again, without any proper, again, my next guest in a few minutes, Matt Slater, he is one of literally a handful of opposition voices in the New York State Assembly. That's how Mike Lawler made his name in the New York State Assembly, as a loud, loyal, opposition, and an intelligent one at that. But it's all just into the wind because it goes nowhere. And I like this notion, this concept of, a dictatorship by committee, because really it's their way or the highway. We have zero input for the most. What's the makeup is Pennsylvania a bit more? Are both houses of your legislature 100% or no?
No, they're not. They were both Republican. I believe one of them might have actually become Democrat. I'm not 100% sure, but of course we have the Democrat governor.
Right.
And he wants to put taxes on all kinds of energy.
But at least that, that again, and that, by the way, we've mentioned it a few times on this program. That was the undoing. That was the demise of Cuomo the thug, was when the New York State Senate went Democrat, and it went majority Democrat about not quite 10 years ago, 8 years ago. And then they went supermajority and veto proof. But that was just, gravy. He lost all of his power, and that was the beginning of the end. That was when he became vulnerable. And sure enough, because again, that whole thing about, going on the way up and on the way down, he was such a jerk and such a thug to so many people, even on his side, that when they finally had a chance to string him up, they did. And he went down. And, and now, here in New York City, people have short memories. Go ahead.
Pennsylvania is a weird state in many ways because, we can carry guns anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got a concealed carry permit for $25 at the sheriff's office, and we have open carry. I mean, you'd be surprised at how many people.
Pennsylvania open carry?
Yes.
I didn't know
yes.
that. I know places like Arizona and Nevada, but I mean,
no,
wow.
You don't have to have a handgun permit to own a handgun. Okay, you just go down. There's only you got to fill a form out.
Yeah,
and you got the waiting period. It's just that to carry the handgun concealed, you have to have a concealed carry permit.
Okay, concealed carry. Okay, but open carry. Wow, that's interesting. Wow. Huh. All right, brother. Well, listen, thank you so much, Joaquin. It's always good to hear from you, pal. A little early in the show to hear from Joaquin, frankly. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-WABC. It's Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick. And, so we're talking about a few things here. Mamdani, you heard about this guy, and in the news break they were talking to a buddy of mine, William O'Reilly. He was speaking to New York One, I believe, about Mamdani and his little trip to Uganda for his gold-plated wedding. At what point do you, New York City, and if you are within the sound of this big blower here at 77 WABC, we are blasting all the way down to Florida, all the way up to Canada. Yes, on the 77 WABC app, and yes, on WABCradio.com. But if you're in the car, if you're in the truck, if you've got a good, and I do have a radio at home, if you have a radio, wherever you are, if you are a Democrat and you like what you see with Mamdani, and here's the thing, this is where I lose it when it comes to Republicans. And yeah, of course I'm a Republican. Of course, listen to me, of course. But I can't stand intellectual dishonesty. I can't stand rules for thee and not for me. That's a disqualifier. I don't care what party affiliation you are. I don't care. At what point does a Democrat finally become offended? When does Mamdani and his gold-plated mansion, I mean, his wedding, he got married, a multi-million-dollar marriage wedding in Uganda in his family's compound. His family's compound. You've got a guy that wants to take away property ownership. He wants to end. This guy is a proper throwback communist. This guy is a proper throwback. He wants to end private property. He wants to freeze rents, meaning not letting landlords collect rent. That he deems to be, absurd. He doesn't believe in capitalism. Why didn't he go to the Justice of the Peace, or the equivalent thereof, in Uganda? Why didn't this duplicitous hypocrite go to a judge in New York City, or have one of his friends register as a Unitarian, minister, or whatever the hell, and married the two of them, and barefoot, wearing nice slacks? How about that? And not only why didn't he do it that way, to be intellectually honest, at what point do all of these minions of his sort of stop and look at each other, and in a emperor has no clothes moment, tap each other on the shoulder and go, I got nothing in my pockets. I was brought up to believe I could do anything because I'm American. The American dream is, this guy is living the Ugandan dream. He wants to live the American dream. He also gets to live a Middle Eastern, anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas, pro-Intifada life. All the while he's wealthy. At what point do any of you Democrats who support this idiot have one moment of clarity? Open your eyes and go, hold on a minute. I'm in with this guy. I'm in. I'm all in. But as long as he's consistent. What? This guy sits there on TV and says, I don't believe in capitalism. And then throws that psychotic, crazy, toothy grin of his with the squinty eyes. By the way, that's his tell. That is his tell. I am an observer of people. I'm rarely wrong. I'm a book by its cover judger. I admitted to that the other night. This guy, his tell, when he's being truly communistic, that big smile comes on, that big cheesy, you-know-what-eating grin. All right. Can I do this one early so we can play it? Okay, good. All right. So listen, we're going to take a little break now. When we come back, we are going to speak with New York State Assemblyman Matt Slater here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77, the gold standard, the big one, the talk radio station in America, 77 WABC.
Talk Radio 77 WABC.
It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
And joining us this morning here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC is New York State Assemblyman Matt Slater, representing the 94th District up in the Westchester, Putnam County area. Matt, you're a friend to the show. Thanks for staying up.
Yeah, no problem, TJ. Glad I didn't take my my Ambien like President Biden or those tranquilizers like Secretary Clinton does, but glad to be with all you tonight.
A clear-eyed and very conscious Assemblyman Matt Slater joining us this evening. That's awesome, man. Thanks. Well, listen, speaking of the 94th District, it comprises a good portion of Congressman Mike Lawler's district. You two make a formidable team fighting for your constituents. That's an understatement. So earlier this week, Mike made an announcement, something everybody in the area was waiting to hear, and he decided to run for re-election for his seat. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Mike's decision and how that bodes for the future?
I mean, listen, I think it's bittersweet, right? Mm-hmm. I think that we are desperate for a transformative leader to finally get New York State back on track, and that's what Mike Lawler would have done as the governor of New York State. There's no doubt in my mind. I think he's one of the most dynamic leaders we have seen in a generation, and I'm just honored to call him a friend and honored to be able to work with him. Him being in Congress and myself in the state legislature. But at the same time, I'm also, very happy that he's going to continue to be in Congress and continue to fight like hell for us here to represent the Hudson Valley, and make sure that we, have a dose of common sense in the crazy swamps of Washington. And he continues to be a great leader, a really, I think, a shining star, for the Republican Party. And listen, you never know what the future holds. And if anyone's going to be able to right the ship here in New York and continue to be a rock star and a superstar in Washington, that person's Mike Lawler. And so, bittersweet, but I think that from the Hudson Valley standpoint and all of New Yorkers he's going to be able to provide a great check on Communist Mamdani, Mamdani, as he continues to strive to be the next mayor of New York City. And he's going to be able to continue to put into check all these radicals in Washington. And I think that's exactly what we need right now.
And recently he had to keep in check some Republicans, some contrarian Republicans who did not want to sign on for what he wanted to do with the SALT cap, to try to keep money in homeowners' pockets. Mike Lawler found himself doing battle with fellow Republicans in the Senate.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when Mike goes to bat, he's not going to bat just for the Hudson Valley. He's going to bat for every suburban community in this state. Mm-hmm. And he did that in the latest big, beautiful bill when it came to SALT, which is something that he has been on a mission on for 3 years now, to finally lift the SALT cap. Which is going to provide incredible tax relief for property owners all over New York State and in suburbs all across this state. Mm-hmm. And yeah, not only is he keeping radicals like AOC in check, but he's also keeping our own party in check and delivering and standing up to them and delivering for hardworking middle class families in the suburbs of New York, all across New York. So that's exactly what he brings to the table every single day. That's why I still believe that he would have been just a transformative governor for the entire state because of all the incredible skills that he brings to the table and is an amazing vision, and also the fact that he's not willing to take on the big fights, whether it's on the left side of the aisle or the right side of the aisle. He fights for what's right, and I think he's an exemplary leader. And again, who knows what the future holds, but I think we can all rest easy knowing that we're still going to have the voice of Mike Lawler fighting for us every single day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's Matt Slater joining us, Assemblyman Matt Slater, here on another side of midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC. It's 1-800-848-9222 is the number. And if Matt isn't staying up late to join us here on a Sunday morning, he's getting up early to go and represent the good fight on Fox and Friends and Fox and Friends Press. Matt's really been making the rounds recently. So again, I'm really grateful for your time today. So Matt, you mentioned Mamdani, Kami Mamdani. That's a great one. And he's actually currently still your colleague, isn't he? I mean, he's still an assemblyman.
He works with me in the New York State Legislature. We actually sat next to each other for the last 2 years in the Real Property Tax Committee, and so I've gotten to know him, fairly well. And I've seen him in action, and I've gotten to know his record or lack thereof in the legislature. And listen, for folks who are listening, we've defeated communism as a country once before, and it is now New York City's mission to defeat it again. And do not think for a second, do not doubt for a second, this man is a devout communist. Period. End of conversation. When you see what he stands for, when you see all of the sound bites that continue to rise from the ashes, from seizing the means of production to opposing private property ownership. These are all communist views. He actually has stood on the floor of the state legislature, and TJ, I know you've been there, so you know what this looks like. He has stood on the floor of the legislature addressing his colleagues, but he didn't call them his colleagues, he called them his comrades. God. That's how extreme this individual is. I've said it before when he was running. I said it when he won that crazy primary, and I'm saying it again. He is dangerously disqualified to be the mayor of the greatest city in the world.
Yeah. No doubt. And, gang, Matt Slater is, everything that Matt said about Mike Lawler, one could say about Matt and many other things, is one of the smartest people in Albany. One of the smartest people in Albany, one of the most competent, and that sounds like a basic word, but actually when it comes to when the people in the legislature with their hands on the levers and the buttons to make the votes, you don't just need brilliance and you don't just need a dazzling oratory. You need competence. You want good government, and that's what Assemblyman Slater represents and does every damn day they're in session up there and every day that he's home in the district. And
appreciate that,
that's the truth. And And so at the same time, Matt being really, really smart, you know, you're an incredible campaigner when it comes to politics. And everybody listen, there's government and there's politics. And there's the political campaign side of things. And I'm just going to ask Matt, Assemblyman, just real quick, when it comes to this guy, you know, here at WABC, we've got Curtis Sliwa. He's the Republican nominee for the mayor in the city here. I was co-hosting Sit and Friends last week with Curtis, which was a huge honor to sit with him and John Katsimatidis for 4 hours a day. And I learned a lot from Curtis. I'd never spent that much time with him before. And anyway, I say all this preamble here to get to the point where I want to ask you to put on your campaign hat for a moment, your political hat for a moment. What is the best path? Because I agree with you, and everybody, most people listening agree with you. This is desperate times call for very competent and comprehensive measures to defeat a guy like this. What would be your approach to literally knocking the legs out from under this guy's campaign? Or is it possible? Is it like they say in the ESPN highlight? You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. How do we beat Mamdani campaign-wise? What's the best way to go?
I mean, I think it's a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first thing that we have to do is continue to expose his extreme communist views, policies, platforms, desires, because New Yorkers know better. And I don't care if you're living in Brooklyn or you're up in the North Country. When you hear things like he has said that he wants to seize the means of production, that he opposes private property. I mean, the alarm bells are going off, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you are.
Sure.
You know it's just not right, and you know that a person who is devoutly committed to that type of cause has no business being the mayor of New York City. And so I think we have to just continue to expose that level of extremism. And here's another example for you, TJ. When he was in the legislature with me this year, he sponsored a bill that would limit the number of miles someone can drive their car. He wants that level of government control. He also sponsored legislation that would introduce sex education to kindergartners. Now, I've got young kids.
Yep.
I mean, that is absolutely nuts. Any parent would tell you that is absolutely crazy.
Tell me that again. What was that bill? The second one? Tell me that again.
Yeah, I'll say it again.
Please.
Because the words come out of my mouth and you don't even, people can't even register.
You caught me off guard with that one. I wasn't ready for that.
He sponsored a bill that would introduce sex education to kindergartners, to 5-year-olds. I have a 5-year-old.
Yep.
She just graduated kindergarten this year. Not a chance
over your dead
in
body.
Hell
over
my dead body
right.
will that ever happen. And anyone, I think, with any sense of morality, any competent parent, loving parent, you know that is just nuts.
Yep.
Sex ed for 5-year-olds. That again, exposing the level of extremism by this individual, and he has the record that he proudly stands by. He met with the CEOs of New York City, of all the major businesses and corporations that drive our economy, and he told them, I'm not walking away from what I stand for.
Yeah.
So he's already said that this is the line in the sand. I'm not moving from it. So I think we have to continue to expose the level of extremism that he brings to the table. I also think we have to prove to the fact that this man has been an elected official for 5 years. He has that record, and that record is not one of results.
Right.
What has he accomplished? Don't forget, Democrats control every aspect of state government.
Yep.
And so the thing is really rigged in their favor. And so if he was going to accomplish anything of significance,
right,
it wouldn't be that hard when your own party controls everything.
Literally everything. Veto-proof.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally everything. But they know that this guy is so out there that he has been a complete failure as a legislator. In fact, he's only passed, he's been there for 5 years.
Right.
He's passed 4 bills. The most significant bill is to allow alcohol in a museum in Astoria. That's his most significant accomplishment.
Wow. Oh my God.
And that's his record. So again, go back to the record every time. He's an extremist who has done nothing to move the needle whatsoever on the issues that matter here in this great state, let alone in New York City, unless you want to go get boxed in a museum in Astoria. Go ahead and find out, thanks to him.
Yeah.
But, in all honesty, it's all fake. It's all smoke and mirrors, just rhetoric, no results. And so I think it's important that gets brought to the forefront as well. And then I think it goes back to the issues that matter most to people in New York City. Really, the same issues that matter, I think, across the entire state. Mm-hmm. Number one, it's affordability.
Right.
I mean, that is still the number one issue facing. We're still leading this nation in out-migration as a state, and New York City's not being insulated from that. Mm-hmm. And not to mention, look, you look at some of these energy rates that are happening right now. Con Edison getting massive rate hikes right now by New York State. Mm-hmm. I mean, people are really struggling, and he has no solutions to those problems other than, I'm going to have the government run a grocery store because that's going to be the answer. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah, no, it's
nuts.
It is.
And so I think you got to talk about affordability and expose the failed record, his failed record of affordability, and also public safety. Public safety still matters.
Yeah. And
I think especially in New York City, it especially matters because we continue to see crime. We continue to see horrific crimes. And, this is someone who says, well, when there's a domestic violence situation in someone's house, the cops shouldn't show up. We should send a social worker.
Right.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And those are situations that escalate out of control more often than not.
They would be horrific.
It would be. We're talking.
And that's again, that's his view. He's already been a proponent of defunding the police movement, calling police racist and all this other ridiculous things, categorizing them as, just evil people. But that's just, that is not how you run a city.
No, you can't.
That's not how you run the NYPD. I mean, it's just, that's why I'm saying he's dangerously unqualified. And so those four things, again, exposing the extremism, going to his failed record, and then just focusing on affordability and public safety, I think, if I was, working with one of the other candidates, those are the four things that I would just be, pounding away on right now.
Talking to Matt Slater, Assemblyman Matt Slater from New York's 94th. And Matt, you mentioned, the control that every statewide office is held by Democrats. Democrats control the fate of New York State. You're up there constantly fighting the good fight. And here on 77 WABC, we're always talking a lot about Hochul, Kathy Hochul. We started our conversation talking about how, Mike Lawler is not going to be running, against her. Yet, when we say that somebody needs to come in with common sense, this is some of the non-common sense stuff. I wanted to just get your thoughts as we recently were reminded that Kathy Hochul wants to send around these daft, silly, seemingly ineffective, what she would, is it $500? I think she wants to throw back at people.
If you're lucky. $300, depending on your income. It's costing the state $2 billion. You heard me.
Yeah.
Built $2 billion with a B.
Yeah.
I'm not stuttering on that. And meanwhile, she's decrying the fact that, she's losing $750 million in federal funding, which she could easily, anyway, but it's a joke. Listen, the rebate checks are a joke. She calls it inflation relief. I mean, come on, where was the inflation relief when Biden was in office?
Right.
When inflation was through the roof.
Right.
There was no inflation relief checks were coming to my door. I don't know about you.
Nope.
And then not for nothing, when you're talking about the amount of money that she's actually sending to people, look, your electric bill. It won't even cover your electric bill.
No, it won't cover that bump. It won't.
It just won't. So what exactly are you doing other than some, gimmick to tell people, oh, look, I helped you out? I mean, look, it comes back to necessities. Your electricity costs are going through the roof. Your child care costs are through the roof. Do you really think, even if it's $500, is that really going to make the biggest difference in the world for you? No. Sure, for some people, yeah, I get it. It may, and that's fine. But, you can't sit here and continue to pass policies that continue to drive up the cost of living, that continue to make us the number one exporter of people in the entire United States of America because of the affordability crisis we're facing, and then just go throw nickels at everybody.
Yeah.
It's like loose change. Here you go. Bang. And look at me. I'm helping you. Come on.
Yeah. No, it is. It's insulting. It's insulting to our intelligence. And I think even for the people for whom it does make a difference, and that could be any of us. That could be any of us at any point in our lives. Nobody is safe from being a bit vulnerable now and then. I've been there too many times in my life. But even for those people, they're not stupid. Even if that $500 makes a difference for a month or a month and a half, they're not stupid. They know from whence it's coming, and they know that most of her policies are what put them in that position in the first place.
Correct.
So again, not only is it insulting in terms of the wallet, but it's insulting the intelligence of the people, even the people who need it. But that's Democrats. They just think everybody's stupid.
Let me put it to you this way, TJ.
Yeah.
She's spending $2 billion on quote unquote inflation relief. Meanwhile, she raised spending. She increased spending by $13.5 billion. I mean, listen, I'm not professing to be a math genius here, but those numbers don't add up.
No.
And anyone who knows the facts that she's putting $500 in your right pocket, but she's hitting you for another $13.5 billion out of your left.
Yep.
How do you think that's going to work out?
Exactly. And everybody gets that. Everybody does. We're talking to Matt Slater here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC, 1-800-848-9222 on this Sunday morning. And, finally, just want to touch on this. This one popped up in the last 48 hours or so. So apparently Texas, a Republican controlled state, thinking about maybe, doing some stuff with congressional lines. And Kathy Hochul comes out and says, "Ooh, you know what? Me too." Now, the last time they tried to do this, it didn't quite work out. So, tell everybody what we're talking about here, and what your thoughts are about Kathy Hochul talking about redistricting here in New York.
Well, sure. So let's go back to the beginning. The redistricting process happens every 10 years in the state of New York, where they, based off the census, rejigger and redraw lines for congressional districts, state legislative districts. But in 2014, New Yorkers overwhelmingly approved a constitutional amendment, a referendum, to end partisan gerrymandering, and they put the redistricting process in the hands of an independent commission. Okay? That was done in 2014. So the commission puts forward their proposals, and Democrats who control every aspect of state government hated it, ignored it, and then drew their own maps that triggered years of litigation, lawsuits, and by the way, who's paying for that? We are as taxpayers, right? And so, thankfully, the courts did step in after numerous attempts by the Democrats to gerrymander the state. And then in 2022, which is the most recent redistricting process,
right?
The court struck down the legislative maps, saying that they were unconstitutional because they didn't follow the voter-approved independent commission process. I mean, we voted on this as a state population in 24. It's in the Constitution of the state of New York.
Okay.
And Democrats said, no, it didn't favor us enough. We're going to go a different route. They tried going a different route, but thankfully the courts struck them down, and they assigned a special master who really just created, fairness and integrity into the process and created competitive races.
Right.
That's all he did was create competitive races. He ended gerrymandering of the congressional districts, and now you have the governor of New York, who's completely blind by power, because again, Democrats are in charge of every aspect of government. The governor's office, AG's office, comptroller's office, the entire state legislature, everything. Everything in New York. And so she's going, well, I can just undo it, and I might try. I mean, not only would it be just patently stupid, but it would be, I would argue illegal and unconstitutional, by the way, because of the 2014 referendum that voters overwhelmingly approved that they did not want gerrymandering to occur in this process. So, it just really, I think, shows the Democrats for what they are, especially Governor Hochul, for being, she comes across as New York's mom, but all she really is the wicked witch and the evil stepmother, and how power hungry she truly is to even consider even consider to redraw congressional maps because it would be in favor of Democrats.
Right.
It's ridiculous. People are sick of this crap. It's the politics at its worst. And frankly, it's typical Albany, and Albany's always at its worst.
Matt Slater, Assemblyman for the 94th. Thank you so much. Again, your time is precious. You're a dad. You're a hard worker for your district. You're never not working, and I know that personally. Full disclosure, Matt and I are friends. We have worked together in the past, and I know how hard you work. So the fact that you're staying up late and joining us this morning means the world.
Listen, I had an email from a resident in Somers with the last name McCormick complaining about Route 138 at 11:15 tonight, and so I was responding to his email. So please thank him for making me aware of the road situation in his neighborhood.
Jesus Christ, was that my dad?
Of course it was.
Oh God. Here on 77 WABC. Oh my Lord. Matt Slater, thank you so much. Go to bed. I really appreciate your time.
Take care, TJ. You're the man. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
A station built just for you. Entertaining talk, information, and New York opinions.
You are a ball of fire there.
The world famous and American original. Talk Radio 77 WABC and WABCRadio.com. This is Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormack. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormack.
Yes.
Maybelline, why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true? You done started doing the things you used to do.
I was motivating over the hill. I saw Maybelline in the Coupe de Ville. Cadillac rolling on the open road. Nothing outrun my V8 Ford. Cadillac doing about 95. Did a bumper to bumper, going side to side. Maybelline,
why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true? You done started back doing the things you used to do. A Cadillac doing right
before it got hot, couldn't do no more.
Gun got cloud
and started to rain. I tooted my horn for the passing lane. Rainwater rolling all under my hood. I knew that was doing my motor good. Maybelline, yeah.
Why can't you be true?
404.
Oh, Maybelline.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Wow. Started back doing the thing you used to do.
I love this. We got 2 calls about Chuck Berry. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Fogart Hot wouldn't do no more. He was a storyteller. He was a storyteller. He painted a picture. What's that line from Nadine? A very underrated Chuck Berry song, Nadine. Nadine, honey, is that you? Nadine, darling, is that you? Seems like every time I catch up with you, you got something else to do. And then he says, something about going through the traffic, He describes a car and he paints a picture beautifully, whether he's talking about kids on a date, talking about a young married couple, talking about Johnny B. Good and playing his guitar by the railroad tracks, school day, getting out of school, they're up in the morning and out to school, you know what I mean? All of it.
Up in the morning and out to school. The teacher is teaching the golden rule.
Transcends everything.
American history and practical math.
Still, 2025, same thing.
Hard and hoping to pass.
Working your fingers right down to the bone. The guy behind you won't leave you alone. And you just want to get the hell out of school. Riding along in my automobile. Same ssong. He was a little repetitive. The tickets to the turn of a mile. Struggling, trying to make out. Love it. Playing the radio. With no particular place to go. There we go.
clock rolls around.
Yeah, I know. Look at you mixing. Same song, same melody, different story. 4:06 here on another Saturday. Now we're in a good, okay, we started off with this piece of garbage. This guy in the New York Post who was staring at me all day, his mugshot, page 10 of the Post. I'm holding him right up so you can all give him the finger. Everybody give the guy the finger. Everybody give, Robert McCain and his, defense attorney, give them the finger right here. There you go. Okay, everybody give him the finger. And, so we've made now the arc. We have now we're going light. We're happy. We're fun. And you know what? Okay, so we got 3 Chuck Berry calls. All right, we got 3 Chuck Berry calls. I love this. I love Another Side of Midnight. I love this stuff. And also while you're at it, ready? Something that Bill O'Reilly said, yesterday morning, or actually it was Friday night on my way into the city. He talked about rewarding yourself. All right. And he said, you got to do something that when I pull out of here every morning, I am so hungry and I'm trying to do the right thing. And I always on the drive home, I always think about, you know what? I'm going to pull over. I'm going to have a diner breakfast. I'm going to go and I'm going to, cause you know what scene kills me and makes me hungry, makes me want to go to a diner is that scene in, Pulp Fiction when Travolta and what's his name are eating breakfast. Always makes me want to go to a diner. The way that he puts butter on his pancakes, Travolta puts butter on his pancakes, and I go, oh my God, that looks so good. And I never do it, never go, ever. Well, this morning I got to go pick up my wife at the airport. She lands at 7 at Newark. We sang Newark's praises all day yesterday morning. Well, I'm popping over to Newark to pick up my bombshell who's coming back from her conference. And by the way, she killed it at her conference in Las Vegas. Very proud of my beautiful bombshell wife, my beautiful British bombshell. Very proud of my lady, my queen, excuse me. She is my queen. And, I should call her Steve. That'll be my nickname for her. Steve McQueen. Hi. And, anyway, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go because I'm going to have like an hour and a half to kill between leaving here and her coming out. I might go to a diner. I might go to Jersey, the home of the diner, and get myself a damn diner breakfast. So while I talk to Harry, Al, and Anthony, you guys tell me, what is your go-to diner breakfast? 1-800-848-9222. This is controversial stuff. Hard-hitting on a Sunday morning. What is your diner breakfast? What is your go-to? Dine and know. Rye toast? Everybody, I only see rye toast at a diner. You never see anybody making rye toast at home. You make rye toast at home? I never make rye. I don't have rye bread at home. Diner? Over medium and rye toast, please. What is it with diners and rye toast? I don't know. Harry in Huntington, Chuck Berry, go, baby.
Hey, Daddy-O, you're all wet on the Chuck Berry song. I'm in the mood. What did he say there? Meanwhile, I was still thinking. She's in the mood. No need to break it. I got a chance.
I ought to take it.
It's Little Queenie. You kept mentioning the word. You must have had it in your subconscious.
It was.
You kept using the word Queen and Queenie.
Go, Little Queenie. Yep.
You got it, Daddy-O.
Thank you, man. Thank you, dude. Harry, what's your favorite Chuck Berry song?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow.
I think for me it's Nadine.
There's so many, but you're right about Nadine. That is better than people remember. It's really good.
No, wait, this is Carol. This is Carol.
I got lumps in my throat when I saw her coming down the aisle. I got the
Little Queenie. This is Little Queenie.
She looked at me and sweet smiled. There she is again, standing
over by the record machine.
Right? Listen to Harry. Looking like a model
on the cover of the magazine.
She's too cute to be a minute over 17. Hey, you know what, Harry? I tell you what. We did get away. We got away with. Those songwriters got away with murder. How many songs were written about, sweet little 16? 16 candles, 16. The age of consent was considerably younger in the 50s, apparently.
These must have been written in the South, huh?
Southern, and I tell you what, it was these sensibilities that got Chuck into some hot water later in life.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow. Harry, thank you, buddy. Thanks for enjoying and making the show better. That was great. Great shot in the arm there. We'll get to Nadine in a minute too. Al in New York City. Al, good morning. Chuck.
Hey, Mr. Tim. That was an excellent sing-along. Really, really good.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it very, very much. Chuck Berry, two funny little things I knew about him. One, he used to perform at state fairs. He'd go everywhere around the country.
Yeah.
And so the way he would do it would be this. When I saw him in New York, this is how he did it. He goes to the Village Voice, his manager does, puts a little ad, needs session players, 1 hour concert, pay $0. You could be playing somebody famous. That's how he would do it, okay?
Okay.
He'd also require a round-trip air ticket, rent a car.
A Cadillac.
I don't know if it was a Cadillac.
Yes, he required a Cadillac. Go ahead.
He's at the New York State Fair in Syracuse.
Right.
And about to perform, and he says, "Where's my money?" And they want to give him a check. He says, No. I don't get on that stage if I don't have $50,000 in a paper bag.
Wow.
And for about 40 minutes, they had to scramble. After that, they never did that again.
Wow.
But they ended up coming up with the cash, and he performed. So now I'm going to go sideways. I love what you see everybody and anybody I could before they pass away.
Uh-huh.
So one day I'm reading the stupid penny saver or something. We're hanging out in a diner. And I said to my friends, "What do you want to do?" I go, "Hey, look, Chuck Berry, $10 at Queens College." And that's like a small venue.
Yeah.
I go, let's go. Got nothing to lose. Pay the $10. As I'm walking in, I do what I usually do. I do as a joke. They go, ticket. I go, "I'm with the band," right?
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, cool." So I still kept the stub. So now we're in there right now. My friend has beverages, and he's getting lit up, and I'm getting lit up.
Right.
So towards the very end, it's like the Beach Boys at Yankee Stadium. They play 15 minutes, 10 songs, and that's about a wrap.
Wow.
So he's up there, and a couple of girls get up on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Louis says to me, he's lit up and I am. He goes, "I bet you the $10 for your ticket, you don't get up there and prance around with those chicks." I just, I got up. I went up the stage, got myself up, right? And this is a true story, hand to God.
Yeah.
He's playing Chuck Berry, what's the song? His biggest one.
Johnny Be Good. Johnny Be Good.
So what I do is I sidle up next to him, and this is what I do. I pull out my air guitar.
Oh, my God. What a choice.
He's sweating 70 degrees, and he's so mad, and he goes, "Come back for the next song." And you know what I said to him? I said, "Chuck, you know this is the last song."
Al, that's a great call. Thank you, buddy. Thank you as always. Yeah, Chuck Berry, man. Chuck Berry.
Who never ever learned to read or write so well, but he could play a guitar just like
I think this is the first song.
Go, Johnny, go.
This is the first song I think I ever learned all the words to when I was a kid. This song I played over and over and over and over. No, you can't beat this song. This is just, it's just the. And how many guitarists, how many musicians come from the Chuck Berry family tree, right? I mean, you'd have no Rolling Stones. There'd be no Keith Richards. That's just a foregone. You probably wouldn't have an Eric Clapton, McCartney, Lennon. You wouldn't have the Beatles doing what the Beatles do. And it's not just Chuck. It was also Bo Diddley. And by the way, the star of these songs, in addition to Chuck, Johnny Johnson, his piano player. That son of a gun. Let me see. There's got to be a break in here where, listen to that piano underneath.
His mother told him someday you will be a man and you will be the leader of a big old band. Many people coming from
Johnny Johnson
around to hear you play your music when the sun
hear that piano?
Go, Johnny, go. Go, go, go.
Massive. You ever see the documentary with Keith Richards? It was for Chuck Berry's 60th birthday. I saw Chuck play for his 60th birthday in Stamford, Connecticut, of all places, at the something theater in Stamford, 1980 something. He turned 60, but they did a documentary, and in St. Louis, and they documented like 2 weeks of rehearsals at Berry, what did he call his house? Berry Farm, Berry something, not Berry Farm, Berry, but Berryland. But he had, when you name your house, you're kind of, around the bend on the ego side of things. But Chuck can do whatever. But he and Keith Richards came to blows in this documentary. It's great. They get into a scrappy fight in Chuck's lounge in his house. But he put together this all-star band, including his own daughter on backup vocals. But you had Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, Robert Cray, who played, I think Steve Jordan on drums, who is currently with the Rolling Stones, replacing the late Charlie Watts. And he's the guy that played with Keith Richards on all his solo stuff. 1-800-848-9222. Tell me about Chuck Berry or your favorite 50s artist while we're going at it. And also, what is your, Larry's got something. What is your go-to diner breakfast? We can do that as like a lightning round. Because when you go to the diner, because I am committed. I need you guys to push me and get me to commit to going and doing myself this honor and going and sitting down in a diner before the sun comes up and have, the only time I really have breakfast is on vacation. That's when I have breakfast. It's like, cause you're when we're at the shore. Like I didn't have breakfast in Vegas last week. But when you're at the shore, you're at the beach, it's something about having breakfast, right? For the day, Today, it's perfect. It's going to be like 5:30 in the morning. I've got to go to New Jersey. I'll have been on the air all morning. Still going to be dark. It's perfect to go and do that. What am I ordering? What's my go-to? What's your go-to? What am I ordering? I'll tell you my go-to. Eggs over medium with ham. I'm very basic. Eggs and ham and eggs over medium, whole wheat toast. And again, what is it with diner orders and rye toast? People with rye toast. 1-800-848-9222. It's another side of midnight. 77 WABC. Dr. Anthony in Queens, line 3. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Do you know how much fun your show is?
Oh, thank you.
I'm laughing. I'm enjoying.
Oh, thank you.
While you're having coffee. And I'm saying, this is what radio is all about.
You made my day. And Dr. Anthony, anybody who knows me knows I'm saying that is the God's honest truth. You literally, that was like you just gave me a hug. That means a lot. Thank you. I am grateful for that. That's beautiful commentary. Thank you.
It's the truth. It's what I used to tell my teachers at school. I said, listen, you're an educator, but you have to get your students engaged. How do you do it? You make education fun. And those teachers that had that skill were gold in the classroom.
True. My favorite and best teacher was my 8th grade history teacher. And the guy would regularly quote my hero, Steve Martin, the comedian. And I learned everything I know about history. I learned in like 2 years, 7th and 8th grade with the best teacher I ever had. What's your Chuck Berry, thoughts there, Dr. Anthony?
People don't mention it often, but I like it, but they don't understand the song. It's, my little dingling.
Oh,
my dingling.
My dingling. Yes. When I was a little bitty boy, my grandmother bought me a cute little toy. Tiny bell on a string. She told me it was I know the fellas are looking.
And you got a nice voice too.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I every once in a while I find the right pitch and I can croon a tune. Here we go.
We got to do our alma mater.
We must do our alma mater.
When I was a little bitty boy, my grandmother bought me a cute little toy. Silver bells hanging on a string. She told me it was my ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Oh my, want you to play with my... Good morning, everybody. Good morning. 422. There we go.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then Mama took me to grammar school, but I stopped off in the vestibule. Every time that bell would ring, catch me playing with my ding. There you go, Dr. Anthony. That's fun, isn't it?
It's beautiful, beautiful. But I'm going to present you with a question.
Yes,
here we
sir.
go.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
You ready?
Yes, sir. Go.
Who has more platinum albums than the Beatles, Springsteen and the Stones?
Really? Springsteen and the Stones both have more?
Yeah. Yes. The Star has more than the Beatles, Springsteen, and the Stones.
Wow. Who's your favorite?
My favorite?
Yeah.
It's the King, Elvis Presley.
Elvis. Boy, he was something else. I'll tell you what. That son of a gun, those Vegas years, the early Vegas years when he started his residency, tell you what, my wife, if Elvis was to come back to life, my wife would leave me at breakneck speed to go and have one moment of intimacy with the peak of his form. My wife, okay, this is the funny thing about my wife. I refer to my queen as my bombshell. She is a stunner. She's British. She's funny. She's cool. My wife, if she sees a very attractive man on TV, it's like or somewhere. It could be church. Well, maybe not church, but we could be watching TV. Last time I watched that documentary about Elvis Presley, and they're showing all the rehearsals in the showroom for his big residency at the Hilton. Yes. Great documentary. And the guy was just at the peak of his form, flat stomach, he had the sideburns and yep. That son of a gun, my wife makes noises like an 18-year-old boy. He comes out on stage and starts making those moves, and my wife goes, "Oh my God." And I go, "What?" She goes, "Woof." She sounds like an old Italian man looking at Elvis. She goes, "Oh." And I go, "Honey, contain yourself. I'm right here." She goes, "Honey, I love you, but Elvis."
I'm just a devil with love spare. So viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas.
I'll tell you. Hey, Dr. Anthony, here's my underrated. I wonder if these guys can find it. My underrated Elvis song. And I think they only have it live. The only recording is live. Polk Salad Annie.
Oh, yes.
I love the original. I love the original Polk Salad Annie. The live version of Elvis singing Polk Salad Annie. That is my diner breakfast order when it comes to a song that when it comes from out of nowhere, it's never on the radio. But when some DJ finds it and plays it, I am happy as a clam. Dr. Anthony, thanks for calling, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words, too. Thank you for the compliment. Very grateful for that compliment. 4:25 on a Sunday morning here. Now we are just plain old having fun now. Now we're just plain old having fun. We're talking about classic rock music. We're talking about rock and roll, the early days of rock and roll, the godfathers of rock and roll, Chuck Berry. Talked a little bit. We didn't really talk about Bo Diddley, but Bo Diddley, talk about underrated. And talk about done wrong. Bo Diddley is the poster child for never got paid. Never got paid. Let's see who else is on the line. Mike in South Carolina. Chuck Berry. Go, baby.
TJ in the house. That is funny, man.
Mikey
Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man. You know what? You're talking about diners.
Yeah.
I'm from Long Island.
Yeah.
The best diners. The Greeks and the Italians always seem to, I'm Italian, 100%. My kids are half Italian.
Yeah.
The best diners on Long Island are Greek diners.
Totally.
And my order would be 2 eggs scrambled soft, home fries, well done, sausage and rye toast, mantequilla, butter on the side.
I love it. Wow. That's an order. And you know it. You're every time. That's what you order. I can tell.
Without a doubt. And you know what? I saw quite a few people. When the Beatles played on Ed Sullivan Show, I never missed it. 1964, I'm watching the Beatles. And 2 weeks later, I say to Mom and Dad, I'm the oldest of three sons. I think I want to learn how to play the drums. They looked at each other like, uh-oh. 2 weeks later, I got a drum set. And I'll tell you what, music's good for the heart, the soul, and the spirit. And I'll leave you with this, TJ.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I said it before. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you told that knucklehead from White Plains, don't ever call my show again.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you, buddy boy. I appreciate it. All right, gang. We got to take a quick break here. And when we come back, we are going to speak with the one and only, the funniest lady in New York, Ellen Karras, here on 77 WABC.
As a sports fan, I have to confess. Sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, how to get 30, how to get 20, 20, 20, how to get 20, 20, how to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
It's another side of midnight.
Political humorist T.J. McCormick.
Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's T.J. McCormick.
And we are joined now by one of the funniest women in all the land and a dear friend of mine and the show. Back here on Another Side of Midnight with T.J. McCormick on 77 WABC. Here is Ellen Karras. Good morning, Ellen. Thank you for staying up.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Definitely worth it.
Oh, totally. No. You make the show better every single time. And so you've been, I'm thanking you for staying up because you've had a hell of a long day. What were you doing all day Saturday? You were at the festival, right, upstate?
So this weekend was the Borscht Belt Festival in Ellenville, New York.
Love it.
A great name for a town.
Yes.
And it was really interesting. I have not been up to that's the Catskills, right? For in years. And so I was part of a play that we put on this afternoon, and which is called "You Can't Teach a Fish How to Whistle."
Okay,
very, very, very funny. It was like it's a 15-minute short play, and then we're all comics, so stand-up comics. So we did a talk back and about women in comedy and comedy in general, and it was really a lot of fun. It was very well attended. It was packed. I couldn't believe it.
Awesome.
There were shows all weekend. But what I was very struck by when we got there, like I said, I had not been up in that area in a long time, was, do you remember the old hotels that were there, like the Neville and Grossingers?
And Browns and Kutchers, and yes, of course.
Right. So, and those sort of went away, I would say, in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And we stayed at a hotel called Harbor Haven. and it right in back of it was the Neville. And it was literally...
the Neville.
The Neville. And it was literally... The structure was there.
The circle, the cylinder tower.
Yeah, exactly.
At the Neville, just the two of us. Yeah, our family. Right. Yes, I remember the commercial. I played the Neville. I actually, when I was doing stand-up, I played the Neville once. I played... I never played Grocery. I played another place out there. I'll remember by the time we're done, but I definitely played the Neville at one point. And I was a young guy, very young, and I was hit on by this woman who was literally, like the joke goes, she was celebrating a divorce. And she wanted me to christen her new single life. And it was awkward. She was no cougar. She was... she wasn't a cougar. Okay, go on. Anyway, so I'm sorry. So the Neville was right behind you.
Yeah, but the structure's still there. It's completely decrepit. And, I was looking around and I'm like, there's so much land up here. And I'm not saying, use every nook and cranny. They've got a very nice town. There's a Borscht Belt Museum. There's nice shops and restaurants. But it's just like, what are we doing with this? This could be some type of a resort. My mind always goes back to where can we make money? But the fact that they've got these structures that are, who knows if there's people living in there. I don't know.
Right.
Homeless people or something, but it was just, I was happy to be there, but on this same token, I was sort of sad that obviously all of that has gone away.
Yeah.
And why aren't we doing something? Why isn't that like Vegas in the mountains?
Ellen, it was. And listen, between that and the Poconos, and other places where live entertainment. I was just out in Las Vegas last week, and I've been having the same thing. I came home. Every time I'm in Las Vegas, I pine for the old days. And when I was there these last few days, while it's all gone, you say that, there are still whispers and remnants of what once was. I mean, now really whispers. I mean, I ended up walking through the Horseshoe, which is now up on the Strip, and it used to be Bally's, and it used to be the original MGM that had the terrible fire in 1980. And it's the building is still there, and there's still like the theater in there that Dean Martin used. I mean, it's about it. The Tropicana's gone. The Flamingo, there is an old original room in the Flamingo as well. But anyway, my point is I'm right there with you. I spent all day Saturday going down a YouTube rabbit hole of people's home videos from the Strip in Las Vegas, like in the 80s and 90s, because that's like about when people had like camcorders. And so I'm with you. It's like I really wish we could somehow recapture something, because they weren't wrong back then, right? And look, and by the way, everybody, Ellen is featured in many episodes of Marvelous Mrs. I always say it, Maisel. Maisel. Ellen is rightfully captured. She's featured. You have a recurring role as a server, right?
As a waitress. Yeah, it was funny, too, because today at the Talkback, they asked about Mrs. Maisel, people in the audience, and how that impacted us. But I answered the question, having been in the show, and because the woman that played Mrs. Maisel, Rachel Bronson, I think is her name,
Brosnahan, yeah.
Brosnahan, right, I knew I was pronouncing it wrong.
Irish girl.
Played it so well.
Yes.
That people think she's a stand-up. But that show and they finally sort of admitted it, is a bit of a takeoff of Joan Rivers' life.
Sure.
So, but they did many episodes. I wasn't in those because I was a waitress in the diner, and I never got out of the diner because, put a Greek girl in a diner. Right? What a stretch.
Yes.
But they did film a lot of episodes up there. But it kind of goes back, and we always tie things to politics. Like New York State. Like, why is this state mismanaged? We have all of this land up there where there were structures there, so it's not like we even need to, tear down some other area. You can actually go and replace what was there with something better and newer and elegant too. Because, we don't have to go back to 80s cheese mouth.
No.
Cheesiness.
No.
Like the heart-shaped bathtub and all that stuff. You can really put some nice, classy resorts. And the thing is, up there too, the weather is beautiful. It's not like Buffalo snow.
No.
And it's not like Florida hot. It's really nice in the summer. The fall's beautiful. The spring's beautiful.
There's
and
a
you
reason.
can have a whole industry up there. But I'm like, again, New York State, no, let's not do anything.
No, they're more worried about making sure we parole violent criminals and make sure that we give billions to illegals and provide abortion to everybody who can't get one in their own home state. Which actually brings me to what the hell is going on around here in general. And so first things first, let's keep it in showbiz. This week, Stephen Colbert, they announced the cancellation. Talk about like a runway. This guy's still on the air for another flipping year. And so we get to have a pity party that's going to go on for a year. Ellen, the guy's show was in decline. It was in decline because he offended half of the country, therefore half of his audience. His show is losing $40 million a year, and the whole world is coming to his defense, saying that it was Trump's fault.
Well, it's just his followers that are coming to his offense, and I loved, right after that, we won't be silent. This is about freedom of speech. I mean, it's so ridiculous. No, it's not. It's about dollars and cents.
Yep.
So CBS/Paramount, they're going through a big, clean house. And look, Stephen Colbert is a talented guy. He's a talented guy.
Sure.
It's not about that he can't do it and he's been around a long time. But he took over this very coveted spot that Letterman, I loved Letterman for many years. Letterman wound up turning.
Yep.
But he still kept his sort of the celebrity interview thing and a little bit of his goofiness. But, he definitely the last bunch of years, started to get political. But I think he also knew he was on his way out. But Stephen took that whole franchise and made it a political talk show.
Yep, the whole time.
It wasn't entertainment anymore.
Nope.
Every guest he had, maybe I think there may have been a couple of exceptions, but every guest that he had was somebody on the left, and all they did was excoriate the right, the Republicans, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That was what his monologue was about.
Yeah.
It was rarely anything that was topical and funny. So that's what the show became.
Yep.
And it didn't work numbers-wise. I will say, to pull the plug on that must have been hemorrhaging money, not just bleeding money, hemorrhaging money for them to do that, because that's a big deal.
They said, listen, we're talking to Ellen Karas, by the way. We're talking to a very, very funny woman, Ellen Karas, comedian. You have go find her on social media, at Greek Chick Comic, here on Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick on 77 WABC, 1-800-848-9222. And, Ellen, it was in the paper. It was $40 million a year. $40 million a year he was costing, to your point, he was hemorrhaging about $40 million. That's an expensive show. You go to those things, his salary alone was probably in the $20 million.
It was $20 million.
Huge staff. Massive staff, bands, and electricians, and probably 15 different unions working on that one show.
Yeah, it's at the Ed Sullivan Theater.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great opportunity. As far as I'm concerned, he blew it. Now,
totally.
The other factors involved, aside from the political perspective of how he ran the show, was also things have changed. So the demographic that they're looking for, the viewership that they're looking for, isn't really there anymore.
Right.
And honestly, a show like his can be turned into a podcast for $100 a month with an engineer. I mean, you don't need all that.
You're
I mean,
right.
listen, this guy's going to be fine. There's
God.
He's going to be fine. You can, and it's not about freedom of speech. It's the most ridiculous thing. I think it was like Jamie Lee Curtis and a couple of celebrities came out, and they were all outraged. And you can still say what you want. And the other thing, though, that we've seen this turn, being that we've lived on both sides of the social media fence, is that, celebrities used to come on these shows, and you would look forward to it because you didn't really know that much about them unless they did one of these talk shows or they did a magazine interview. Now everybody's got Instagram and TikTok, and they're, and Al Pacino's eating in his kitchen. There's just, I mean,
we know what their closet looks like. We've seen their hamper.
Right. Jennifer Lopez is washing her face and she's recording. I mean, they're making coffee. There's no mystery anymore.
You're right. You're so right. Oh man, you know what? This thread, you are threading this fantastic, narrative here. You really are. We start talking about the old days, the Catskills, show business, Vegas. And you know what? And just, a couple of days ago when this story broke, Ellen, I think it was the end of last week, might have been a week ago, might have been last Sunday.
It was Monday. Yeah, I think it was Monday. Yeah.
I was playing on, I played, no, you know what? It was actually a couple days before, because I know, last Sunday morning I played a clip of Carson on the air talking about how he never got political. I mean, he would make political jokes. He would make jokes about politicians, of course. But in terms of making statements and messages, I played a clip from a Barbara Walters interview, and he said, that's not what I'm here for. And if you start making statements like that, you're not going to be around for very long. Boom!
Right. You can't, so Johnny Carson probably was somewhat of a liberal, I would imagine, but
I don't know.
Who knew?
You know what, Alan? Yeah. I don't know. He was born in Iowa. He's raised in Nebraska. He might have, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a bit of a conservative. I mean, look, it was, then again, liberal conservative back then. Different ball of wax, probably too.
He's like an independent now.
Yeah,
so it's totally different. So that's a whole another thing.
Sure.
We're not waiting to see a celebrity on these shows. We don't have to.
Yeah.
And now that 40 and under crowd, 35 and under crowd, everything's on the phone.
Yes.
And it's sad, right? Because it's still a good concept, but they just didn't nurture it. And you know what? I don't know how you feel, but I think if there's another person to go, I think it would be Kimmel.
Oh,
because he also just has played all of his cards against Trump.
And he's mean-spirited. It's not funny. Yeah. And you know the other thing, too? You and me, the way we're wired, be funny. If you're going to do this, be funny and make that joke appeal to everybody. Be funny. At least be funny. And you know what, too? Look, if you want to lean into where you stand, okay. If you gotta, I still don't agree with that. But if you gotta do that, don't do it so where you are like offending and insulting fully half of the country. I mean, it seems there was clearly either there was no postmortem after Trump's landslide, right? Either there was no postmortem by these dummies, or there was one and Colbert said, blank off, I'm doing my show. And they all sat around going, okay, we're about to lose $40 million if he keeps doing what he's doing. And that's what happened. And look, hey, listen, man. This all works too, because, what are we to expect from this city if we're about to elect some, well, I was just going to say an anti-capitalist, socialist, communist, piece of garbage. But this guy, I'm going to navigate us I'm going to attack our sails towards, Mamdani right now. I thought of you. The first human being I thought of was Ellen Karras. And we're talking to Ellen Karras, by the way, on Another Side of Midnight here on 77 WABC. Ellen, I thought of you before any other human being on the planet when I saw the Post article about Zohran Mamdani's wedding. This is another haves and have not, a champagne. This is literally, definitively a champagne socialist.
So if any of your listeners are, if they're not aware, let's enlighten them for a second.
Go right ahead.
Okay?
Yes.
It was a wedding and, you know, he's obviously entitled to a wedding. It was in Uganda.
Yeah.
And it was at a mansion that is family owned, and they had not like a little security. They had like armed guards all over the place.
Yes.
They did not allow cell phones and cameras and all that other kind of stuff. And again, that's fine, but don't come here and pontificate your nonsense,
right?
And say how you're going to, you know, you're against everything that allowed your parents to buy that compound. It's been nice, to tell you the truth, that he's been, I hope he goes on a long extended honeymoon because he hasn't been traveling around. He hasn't been in the paper as much. I mean, he's in the news.
Right.
But not like, there's 27 photo ops a day because he's not here. So I hope he takes like a safari, maybe one of those 3-week vacations, you know what I'm saying? You know, in a place where you need like 27 shots. And just stay out of our way. It's been nice and quiet, so just kind of stay out of our way. But, you know, listen, reality is he's coming back. He's going to come back all guns blazing, and we got to be ready. And I'm going to say how proud I am of our friend and hopefully next mayor of New York City, Curtis Sliwa.
Yep.
He's been everywhere, every borough.
He has doubled down. He has doubled down on campaigning. Solid.
He's been on everything all week, TV all week, and he's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Nope.
That's not happening. Stop talking to me. And he's moving up in the polls.
Yep.
So I think that's great. I wish Andrew Cuomo, I know he's still got this bee in his bonnet that he thinks people like him and they don't. So I'm praying he's going to step aside. I don't know if that's, the egos are massive. And then Eric Adams lives in his own hallucination.
Yeah.
Saying things that he did that he didn't. So I'm just I have to ignore these people because they don't mean anything and they're really, really useless. And if the only way we're going to win this thing is if those two drop out, everybody gets behind Curtis, and then, we really have a shot because I think Curtis will excoriate him. But this guy is very, very dangerous. Every time I read about defund the police, send social workers, the grocery stores, freezing the rent, taking over private property, not allowing any businesses to grow. Everybody should be shaking in their boots. I don't want to hear about your free childcare. It's just ridiculous. And then the free buses. Who's going to pay for that? It's ridiculous. First of all, the free childcare, I don't believe that, I should be paying for somebody else's childcare. I think that's ridiculous. And the free buses, how is that? And subways, how is that even possible?
Yeah, it's not. Which is why we're in the situation we're in because,
It's scary that I believe it was approximately 800,000, maybe about 1 million people went to go vote for this guy. That's what's scary.
I think we're gonna. There's just a little too much time, a little too much daylight, a little too much oxygen. I think a little too much of these stories like the wedding and other things are gonna start resonating. And plus too, I think the old people, it's not gonna be 150 degrees for the general. I think if more things like Cuomo sexual assault settlements keep rolling through the papers, hopefully that guy gets a little bit more beaten down. And and one of them gets out, and Curtis just comes right through the middle and comes through the split votes.
Right. I just, speaking of the thing about Cuomo, so this past week, 2 more women were paid $250,000 each. So that's $500,000 of our taxpayer money to settle Cuomo's sexual harassment suit. And it was the touchy-feely, try to kiss them, you know.
Nasty.
I liked enough.
The father of daughters. The father of 3 daughters.
3 daughters. I know.
Piece of garbage.
I know. It's just disgusting.
It really is. He's vile and he's a thug and he doesn't deserve it. Again, we've got a guy in Curtis who we should be on bent knee thanking him for even considering running again. Speaking of pigs, Epstein, you know, are you?
Good segue.
Thank you. Are you? I kind of threw this out yesterday morning, and again, I often think through the Ellen Karas lens. I think, where is Ellen going to land on this? Are you? I asked everybody yesterday morning, and I'm wondering, is there a benefit? Would you be okay if they did shave a little time off of Maxwell's time if we could bring down, like, you know, at least a third of these pigs? Because there was a business here. There was a transactional thing. Yes, she procured the young women. Vile, she's going to hell, no matter what. She procured the young women. But the young women were servicing a bunch of beasts. Pigs. These men need, and probably some women, need to be exposed. She was doing it for someone. She can't be the only one to go to jail. She can't be. What do you think? What's going on? What do you think?
I have Epstein list fatigue. Okay? This should have been settled in 2008 when he was on trial in Florida. Instead, he got a slap on the wrist and then off he went. Okay? The man is gone, right? I think we can all agree with how he went is a different story, okay? But he's gone. And, of course, the people that we feel sorry for the most are the victims, right? It's really, this is really about them and their justice.
100%.
But we can't try him anymore, so that's out. I think that there's been some evidence that's been destroyed that we're never going to get back. I mean, you know, people can talk about a list. So, like, we all have this image that there's a black book, you know, and it's got a name and a phone number next to it. I don't think it's that neatly tied up in a bow. But I think we really need to have to either decide to try to wrap this up, and if that means asking her, but you know, it's interesting. Like, we've had this woman in our custody for like 4 years. She went on the trial and like nothing, you know, like we didn't get that far. But if she's willing to talk, to shave a few years off, and I agree with you, she's got to meet her maker, and that's not going to be pretty.
No.
And I'd be okay with that. But let's say that happens, right? And let's say, I don't know if I could mention a name. I don't want to get us all in trouble. But let's say one of the big tech guys, for example.
Gotcha.
You know. I mean, it's funny. I kind of had this little bit of an argument with my husband about this, because I said to him, I'm like, I'm done with this already. It's almost, I kind of agree with Trump. Like, the guy's dead. Can we move on? And of course, but we know, the left goes nuts. Like, oh, because he's on it, because he's not. Please, give me a break. If he was on it, we would have known in 2016.
Oh, please. Yes. Yep.
You're right. Okay?
100%.
Right. No,
100%.
no one was going to keep that to themselves. So.
And you know what? You're so right. And, you got to forgive me, my love. I got to jump. We are right up against it. Thank you, Ellen Karas, once again. Always with the funny, always with the sharp and the incisive. And, always. We've got to take a quick break. We're going to get there. I'm sorry, Ellen. Sorry to jump in like that. Quick break here on 77 WABC.
It's Another Side of Midnight.
Political humorist TJ McCormick.
Now, to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC. Here's TJ McCormick.
What a fun hour. I am so grateful. And you know what? Jim and Nutley and Bob in Long Island, I'm sorry, fellas. I'm so sorry. Just not going to have a chance to get I'm up against it, and there's just nothing I can do, and I apologize. Please, next Saturday morning, we can pick up on some of this great classic rock and roll conversation. Jim and Bob, I'm so grateful for you hanging on, and I'm grateful for you listening in the frame. I'm grateful for all of you here, the people supporting Another Side of Midnight with TJ McCormick. TJ McCormick really appreciates you. Hey, Bo Diddley says Bo Diddley. TJ appreciate. I'm going first person too. Another Side of Midnight is nothing without you guys, and it's also nothing without Bill and Tony there carrying me the entire way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to Mr. Katz and Chad and everybody here at 77 for giving the kid a shot. And we're having great success. The show is doing great, and I'm grateful for all of you. Next Saturday morning, we will do it again here on Another Side of Midnight every weekend from 2 to 5, where we hand it off to Liz Radabali in the 5 a.m. newscast. I will see you next Saturday. Thank you for being here, family. And in the meantime, I wish you all the luck in the world.
Take my baby away from home.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.